Welcome to the Bougie Baldie Podcast with your host, Kellie Rhymes.
Hi, my name is Kellie, the Bougie Baldie, and today I am going to introduce myself and give you a little bit of information about me so you can learn my story and why I am choosing to provide education, information, tips, and stories around hair loss as a woman. So let's go ahead and jump right on in. Well, for me, I have scarring alopecia, but let me tell you how this all started. I was in my late 20s when I noticed that my hair was falling out at the top. Now, back then, I had locks. So I was getting my hair retwisted and styled, and I thought, well, maybe I'm just getting it twisted too tight or styled too tight and it's pulling my hair out. So let me kind of watch it and pay attention and calm down on how tight my hair is being pulled and make sure I tell my stylist as well to pay attention. Well, over some time, I noticed that the spot was getting larger and larger. So I was like, let's look at this a little bit further. But at the time, I still did not really think that I was really suffering from an issue regarding hair loss. I really thought that this was something natural that was happening and that I could fix it on my own. So I decided to go ahead and comb out my locks just to see how my hair was actually doing. But once I combed those locks out, I can truly see how thin my hair had become. Well, I had to start trying to cover up these thin spots and camouflage them. Whether that was pulling my hair back and wearing a head wrap around the front of my head just to make it look a little bit fuller, adding extensions in, and eventually starting to wear wigs and head wraps as well. I really got to the point to where I could no longer cover up my hair loss. Now, this went on for a long period of time and I was in denial. I realize it now, but back then I did not know. I was in denial. So I didn't even go to a doctor to say, hey, can you check me out? Can you figure out what's going on with me or anything for years? When I finally went to a dermatologist, he took a look at my scalp and he told me that I have scarring alopecia. Now, the type of scarring alopecia that I have is called CCCA. Now, there's a term for this. So let me go ahead and try to pronounce this for you. And I am going to read it just to make sure I pronounce it correctly. Now, that the CCCA stands for Central Centrifugal Cicatricial Alopecia. Yeah, that's a mouthful. I know. But that's why we all call it CCCA. After I found that out, I still was like, I can do something about this. Now, the doctor did not give me many solutions. All he said was that he's seen this condition in a lot of women, and there's nothing I could really do about it. My hair was not growing back. But I was not going to take this as an answer. No, 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 no. So I decided to start going down the route of trying to figure out if I could get hair transplants since now I know what's going on. When I went through that process, they actually tested my scalp by doing a scalp biopsy. And once they did that, the doctor then told me that I was not a good candidate for hair transplants because of the type of alopecia that I have. I later found out after doing some more research that when you have scarring alopecia, you cannot get hair transplants. So I was back at zero, not knowing what to do, not knowing where to go and who to talk to because I just did not know where to turn, did not even know how to look for resources at that time. So years continued to go by, and I just accepted the fact that my hair was continuing to come out and I just had to cover it up. I just decided to wear wigs on a regular basis. I had so many different types of wigs, different types of styles. I actually had to get on YouTube University and find out how to actually style a wig and make it look natural, make it look good, how to buy the right type of wig. I didn't know any of this, but I had to learn because of my situation. After some time, and again, this is going to be more years. And let me take a step back because over those years, I went through a lot of emotional phases regarding my hair loss. And I would also say mental challenges as well. The first phase, again, was that denial I talked about. Then I had some frustration because I was trying all these natural remedies before I went down the route of going to the dermatologist and getting the hair transplants, all that stuff. I tried all these different remedies that I would find online and nothing would work. I would buy different products, they weren't working, and I was frustrated. I then got to the point to where I got angry because I got a hairstyle that was basically covering up my hair loss, but it caused my hair to fall out even more. So that led to anger. And it was just like, I just cannot win. So there were a lot of different emotions. Those weren't the only ones, but those are a few that other women who are experiencing hair loss go through as well. And I'll talk about those phases in more detail in another show, but this is what was happening with me. After I found out I could not get the hair transplants, again, I started to cover up and just wear wigs on a regular basis, not knowing what to do, and hair extensions, and just really, really camouflaging my hair loss. And eventually, I met someone and got married. Now, when I met this person, or my former husband, he passed away. Just a FYI, that's why I say former husband. But when I met him, I was upfront about my hair loss, and he was okay with it because his mom had experienced hair loss. So he knew exactly what was going on. And that was a major thing for me because I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able to meet anybody who was going to accept me with hair loss. So we got married, we did our thing, and as I said, eventually he did pass away suddenly. So that was unexpected. After some more time goes by after he passes away, I finally decide that I'm ready to be me. Now, at this point, I was living in Arizona. Now, I'm originally from St. Louis. So I was living in Scottsdale, Arizona, wearing these wigs, and it was hot. And I was tired of covering it up and doing all of these things. So I started going down this journey, and I took myself down this journey of actually getting comfortable with my hair loss. The first thing I did was I stopped wearing the wigs and I cut my hair really, really low, and I wore hair fibers to camouflage the thin spots or the balding spots. So I just had a little low cut, and that's what it was. I wore that for a while, got comfortable having a shortcut look and the attention that that brought along with it. And as I got comfortable with that hairstyle, I also worked on my mindset. I also had to change how I viewed myself because my identity was tied to my hair, like most women, because society tells us that beauty, with I guess the beauty standards would be to have hair, right? This long, thick, flowy hair. And if you don't have it, you're not considered beautiful. I had to work on that for myself and understand that I am still beautiful regardless if I have hair or not. After I worked on my mindset, shifted, everything, boosted myself up, regained my confidence, it was time for the next step. That next step was me actually shaving my hair all the way off, and I decided to get micropigmentation. Now, why did I decide to get micropigmentation? Well, that was something that would just make me feel comfortable as a bald woman. I wanted to still have some type of an appearance that there was hair, like maybe a bald fade or something like that. But that's the way I chose to feel comfortable without having hair as a woman. Now, many women will do different things that make them feel comfortable. That is just the route I took. I went and found a artist who could do the micropigmentation, and I got it done. And after I got that done, I was so relieved. I can't tell you how many times I had to think about hair before leaving the house or before going on a trip or before doing anything. I was constantly thinking about hair, whether it was how does my wig look? Or how am I going to camouflage my bald spots and thin spots today? Or going on vacation, and how am I going to go swimming and secure this wig? Can I jump in the ocean? What am I going to do to secure this wig while I'm traveling and still look good? I always had a constant nagging voice. Not, and maybe I shouldn't call it nagging. It wasn't a nagging voice, but there was a constant voice of insecurity always going through my head, and it was always around my appearance. But once I actually made that decision to cut it off and get the micropigmentation, it was just a relief. No more thoughts about how did I look when I left the house, because I knew exactly how I looked and I was happy with how I looked leaving the house every day. And guess what? It was also easy. And that, I think, is the best part about it. It was easy. I didn't have to worry about anything but just making sure my hair stayed cut low. Now, even though I have the micropigmentation, my hair still does grow, so I still do cut it on a regular basis, but that is very, very minor, right? I don't have to go sit in a salon for hours at a time to get a style. I don't have to go to a store to go shop for extensions or wigs, or online to figure out what looks good and what doesn't look good. I don't have to do any of that anymore. So I was completely happy. Since then, I have chosen not to really wear wigs anymore. Now, I wore wigs maybe a few times since then, and that was in 2019. This is now 2024. So I might have worn a wig a few times just for a certain look that I wanted to achieve, or it may have been cold outside. So I was like, okay, I don't want to wear a hat, and I'm going somewhere. So I put on a wig. That was it. But realistically, I can count on my one hand how many times I've worn a wig since 2019. This is the look I have chosen. I am happy with it. I'm confident with it. And it has led me down the journey of helping other women who are experiencing hair loss. Now, this took me some time as well, because I did not want to share my story. My intuition had been telling me for years to help other women or talk more about hair loss in women. But I was like, no, I don't want to share my story. So I didn't. But that voice became louder and louder and louder. And then I started having experiences where women were coming up to me on the street or in public, just strangers, asking me questions, sharing their stories, looking for tips and advice and different things. That's when I knew that it was time for me to really step into this. And I decided to get some tools under my belt, get some training, some certifications, so that I could help other women on their hair loss journey. So I have gotten a transformational practitioner certification, and that helps me help women rebuild their confidence. It allows me to work with women to eliminate that old identity and that negative self talk that you've been saying to yourself around not having hair, or even those negative experiences you may have had in the past that's preventing you from feel comfortable and confident as a woman with no hair. Now, I'm not here to say that women have to cut their hair off and be bald and be happy. No, I'm not saying that. But if you choose to do that, then that's what you can do. But if you choose not to, you can still wear your wigs, your head wraps, your head coverings, whatever it is you do that makes you feel comfortable, do that. I am only here to help boost women up, build their confidence, and give them information about hair loss as a woman. So, if you didn't know, or I didn't say it, I am a women's hair loss support and authenticity coach. That is what I do. Now, I do have a background in real estate investing, and I dabbled in that as far as coaching was concerned, but I no longer want to do that. I actually decided to stop coaching in that space and solely focus on supporting women with hair loss, because I have seen such a large need for this. Well, that is what this podcast is going to be all about. It's going to provide you with some education, some tips. I'll share some of my stories. We will talk to some experts who can give us more education and information around hair loss and things that you can do to potentially stop your hair loss. Now, I am not going to be talking to women who only have alopecia. No, this channel is for any woman who's experiencing hair loss, whether that it's due to stress, hormones, maybe like menopause, postpartum. It could be alopecia. It could be hair loss due to medications, chemotherapy, radiation, things like that. Any type of hair loss is going to affect a woman's self esteem, her mental and emotional well being, really. So, I want to make sure that you are not held back by what's happening with your hair. I want to make sure that you have the confidence to live a joyful life, to fulfill your purpose in life, and not worry about your hair while doing that. Okay. So, if you are a woman who's experiencing any type of hair loss, and you need some support or you want some information around hair loss and potentially some solutions or things you could do to help regrow your hair, make sure you follow along on this podcast, on this channel, whatever you want to call it. Follow along so that you can get this good information. Now, I will always be giving updates and providing resources and different things that you guys can utilize. So make sure you stay tuned. All right, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoy your day. And from my heart to yours, have a good day. Bye.
Thank you for watching the Bougie Baldy podcast. Don't forget to subscribe